at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific, for about an hour or 90 minutes each day. 3 gun-related topics each day, different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube, and then we post it over at gunchannels.com. So we're watching the live comments that are coming in from everybody who's watching it live over on Gun Channels, and also at YouTube. We take the audio from that, and we turn it into a podcast, and I'll be right back.
And we usually cover 3 topics each day. Today, we're going to be going a review of this week and the things that will be coming up. We'll also be going through social media, particularly podcast, and how that stuff kind of works together, as well as gun tech, such as AK motorizations. So with that, before we start the show, I'd like to see if there's anything going on overnight. So, Z, I know I was out of the loop the last 24 hours. Did you happen to catch anything in the last 24 hours?
Nope.
Ooh, okay.
It was a nice quiet weekend, full of lots of work.
Yeah, today was a good day because I went to the range, and any day at the range beats a day at work. And I went there for 3 different things. I got 2 out of 3 things successfully accomplished. I needed to re-verify the 0 on an AR, which went fine. And then I have a new pistol that I've acquired, which I just picked up today. So first day out of the box, and had to begin the break-in period. According to the manufacturer, it's 200 rounds. And it does need a break-in. I will say that absolutely, it does need it.
Failure to eject, failure to feed. What do we have?
Let's see. Where this.
We're not in the pocket of a big car, so we can answer honestly.
Right. Well, I'm trying to so some of the manual operations are a little bit different. Like, they actually suggest, the manufacturer, that you use the slide lock as a slide release. And I watched a number of videos, and a lot of people said, well, that's not really necessary, yada, yada, yada. And when I tried to slingshot it, I could never get it to release. It locked up every single time.
Moon's out there saying, Dana, you can't slingshot it, and he's agreeing with you that you will not be able to slingshot it.
Yes. And by using the manufacturer's method of simply using the slide stop as a slide release worked every time. But I did have a couple of failure to feeds out of 120 rounds, which is what I fired today. I would have fired a whole lot more, but I did have, like I said, a couple other rifles that I needed to.
What type of ammo?
Just your regular Freedom Munitions range type ammo, nothing high powered.
The remanufactured or new?
I had some of it was new and some of it was remanufactured.
Okay.
And some of it was homebrewed by me.
Oh boy. Now,
because I have the skills.
Do you think that any of the ones that was homebrewed by you was the ones that wasn't pushing the slide back enough to strip the new one off the top of the magazine? What do you think?
No, because it was always like the very first round. That was the consistent factor in it.
Now, first round was, did you find, and I missed it, I'm sorry, did you have both failure to feed and eject, or just one of those two?
Failure to feed.
Okay.
And the design is a little bit different. It has an offset feed ramp. And that is, the manufacturer says that's in order to try to attempt to get a lower bore axis. Now, that had nothing to do with my decision to purchase this. And by the way, this firearm is a Car CM9. It's their Micro 9.
I don't want to say I'm familiar with it. I know what it is. I've read about it and stuff like that, but I've never held one. I know that there's a few Gun Channels members out there that have had these, both that are joining us on YouTube and on Gun Channels. Now, how many magazines did it come with?
Oh, it only comes with one magazine.
Okay, so you didn't even really have the opportunity to see if it was the magazine or the ammo, but it sounds to me like it.
Well, I did, because I had bought a couple magazines in addition to that one in anticipation of this.
Did it do it with any of the other magazines?
Yes.
Oh boy.
So,
did you use any ammo other than your homebrew and or Freedom munitions? Like, did you hot stuff or defensive ammo?
No,
or...
I did not.
Okay.
And the
That's
reason
probably
I
a good call, though, actually,
is because the manufacturer states about this break-in period and that that there may be potential feeding issues and stuff like that. I didn't want to put good money after bad, putting more expensive ammo through when I know those is a bare minimum. Those first 200 rounds, maybe 300 rounds in the end, are I'm going to have intermittent problems with anyway, and I'm not going to carry it until I'm confident in it, and it has not passed that threshold yet.
Now, can you see the external for Gun Channels, Dano?
Yes.
Okay. Now I know his hashtag. He's joking, sorta, right? But the next one, I've heard about their magazines being shit, and the follower and spring being the main issue in that magazine. But I don't know that that's what this is, what you got going on. And I understand the warm-up period, like you're saying. Now, is this CM9, is that the same model that they were having the issue about 2 years back, where every time that the slide would reciprocate, it was going to start shaving the frame ever so slightly as the more times you would use it?
I don't know if that was one particular model or a line. So
okay,
I don't know is ultimately the answer.
I'm going to give that to Moonfood or Robbie out there, because I think both of them actually know that answer. If you gentlemen feel like letting us know, we'll definitely relay the information.
Now, I did break it apart once I got home. And in fact, I looked specifically with a light for any shavings, and I did not find any.
That's good. That's a good sign.
But I only put, like I said, 120 rounds through the gun. So I think at this point it's the fitting of the parts that tends to be an issue, because their CM line through their as compared to their PM line, a lot of the differences is the fit and finish, and particularly the fit. Okay. And if you have some fitment issues, you're going to have a higher amount of friction and things that don't line up properly.
Well, you're going to have that wear happen faster too when it's a fitment issue like that. Now, whether it wears in a positive way and that it smoothes itself out, or if it wears in the wrong way, where then you start to have mechanical failures. And so it sounds like this is just working itself in as opposed to mechanical failure style, which is good.
Right. It got significantly better after about 60 rounds. Cool. Now, will it continue to get better to the point to where there are no problems? I have no way of telling, because better to me is still not good enough.
No, and I know you've done it long enough to know that if it doesn't perform up to your standards, that you will not. And I mean, you may keep it or whatever, but you probably won't carry it.
Right.
If it does not meet your level of satisfaction. I know that.
Absolutely correct. Because that's the whole purpose in trying to find this wise, is because size wise, weight wise, it's exactly what I was looking for. And it's not one of those small guns that's like super punishing to shoot. No,
I've heard that this would you say it's the CM9?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have small hands, so I don't have an unbiased opinion on that. but I've heard that it is like the Goldilocks size in that it fits most hands pretty well for being a small pistol.
Right. Now, if you have, depending on the length of your fingers, it can be a little tricky because of how far back you have to pull the trigger. Because it is a long pull. And because, you know, the grip is thinner than, let's say, my Glock, you have to pull up the distance between your palm and how far back your finger has to go is a little bit further than normal.
So you're almost curling that trigger finger.
Right. And so there were a couple of times, again, this is during the first, 20 rounds, that I didn't pull it back far enough. But that's a matter of getting used to, again, a different manual of arms.
Well, and I was going to ask, and this may be getting ahead of myself here. Were you attempting to fire from reset at any point, or because it was in its 200 round test period? Okay.
Reset is all the way out.
Yeah,
so there is no.
Oh, really? There's no. It doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
So you go all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, all the way out.
Okay.
So, but it's a matter of getting used to. Each gun every firearm has its slight differences, and that's one of the things that's a little bit different about this one.
Well, and also let's be honest and fair. You got it for round 3. Is that correct?
Yeah. 3 even.
Well, so that's a pretty good deal, but you're also going to expect for that same price that you kind of got what you got. It's not going to have the smooth butter trigger or something that costs 2 to 3 times the size, or price. But then again, it shouldn't really, honestly, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if it did, that would be great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And so time will tell ultimately whether this is something that I regret or not. But that's I'd rather try something than ignore some sort of new product out there.
I think G-Webs has a suggestion. Could you go back to that picture, please, G-Webs? Did you use red fingernail polish when shooting the gun?
I think I may have left that at home.
Oh, okay. Well, then that could have been it. That could have been it.
Maybe that was it.
How do you like the sight picture? Actually, I do want to ask that legitimately. What do you think of the sights in the sight picture?
Oh, I think the sights in the sight picture are fine. No problem.
Good.
I mean, it's kind of like that lollipop, design where you put the ball on the stick, sort of a thing.
Pumpkin on a post.
Yeah, and but it's not the type of firearm that you're going to be shooting, targets at 30 yards, or at least it's not.
Well, I was gonna say, you hope you never have to do that. Obviously. Yeah. Hello.
I've googled a picture of the sights here on my screen.
Those are wonderful sights. I would like to investigate that sight picture a little more up close. That's hilarious.
Definitely.
Oh, there you go. Actually, that does look like a decent sight picture. Did it come with the fiber optic, all that jazz, or what?
Oh no, it was the
the one at the back where it's just the line. Yeah. I gotcha.
Yep, that one right there.
I gotcha.
But really easy to see, as far as size and everything like that. No problem to line it up. Fairly accurate gun too. From about 10 yards, I was able to get about a 2-inch group. So it's really
bad.
But again, I'm far more interested in the reliability to go boom every time I pull the trigger than I am in getting a tight group.
I can understand that. You're trying to, yeah.
So anyway, so that was my day at the range today.
That's excellent. Thanks for sharing. That's fantastic. Oh, what do we got? Do we have we got Bigfoot footage? Is that what we got here? I mean, is that what somebody's trying to show us here?
No, I don't think I have one. I was just looking.
Oh, okay. The PM one.
Yeah.
As opposed to the CM one. I got you.
Let's see. Over the weekend, we had the anniversary of Gatling, his death.
Yep. That was yesterday, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, can we start the show?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Actually, I thought I held down pretty good for you.
You did great, dude.
So then we will talk about what's going on this week. Dan will talk a little about what's we're doing today. Tomorrow we have our Second Amendment topic, and it's can we forecast what the feds will go after next? We'll have our good idea, bad idea segment tomorrow. SBRs for cold weather concealed carry, and then our gun advocacy topic. And this week we're focusing on Alaska. I think you guys said you had something prepared for that. Wednesday we'll do our CCW topic, and it'll be crossing state lines. The entertainment topic will be shooting sports, and then we have our tactical quiz on Wednesday. And every day we have the possibility at any moment for there to be a tactical pop quiz. And then we've got the gun stuff topic starting on Thursday. We'll be talking about guns at home. Then our training topic on Thursday will be training gear. Then we talk about shooting events on Thursdays from the calendar over at Gun Channels. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm missing it all. Yeah, no, then we got, we already say guns at home. You
already say what?
I don't remember what day we're on. We're on Thursday, and then we got these are alternative gun topics. We don't need a lot of guns. I think we've talked about that one before. We'll talk about that again. All right, and then we've got the gun biz on Friday. Will the gun industry shrink or expand in the next 4 years? All right, I got to be back. I'll be back in a minute.
Yep. All right. Well, Mr. G Webs is out.
In between the first and second segment of the show.
Absolutely.
We like to talk about one of our Gun Channels members.
And today is
Mr. DB Cooper. Yes.
Here, Mr. Cooper, King Cooper.
Definitely
yes,
OG Gun Channels member. Definitely always like hanging out with DB. He might be a master troll, grandmaster troll even, but I do got to say that, man, he still has a wide variety of knowledge on a lot of different things, and it's always good to be able to get his opinion and viewpoint on some stuff, especially like if we're talking about some of the training classes that he's been able to take over the years and stuff like that, let alone actually the myriad of problems that he's had with some of his firearms and or dealing with customer service. I mean, basically it's again, it's a valued resource information in Mr. DB Cooper.
Oh yeah. In addition to all the various guns that he's kind of cycled through his life over the years, he's lived from both, a very highly gun restrictive environment, New York City. Yep, that's right. All the way down to a very freedom loving area, Georgia, where he's able to enjoy, the vast majority of his rights as compared to where he was from originally. So he has a perspective of trying to live your life in an area that's not necessarily trying to help you live your life, and living in an area that's much more freedom inducing. So and he's got a very interesting sense of humor, and I would say for the most part, most people certainly appreciate it. I know I do.
Oh, dude. Yes, absolutely. And then I just noticed on the YouTube side, car carriers out there, and he was going to let you know, Dano, that cars are picky on ammo, like in particular. And then basically he's also saying that might be just the source of your problem. So then I just asked him for any ammo suggestions for the car as well. So we might be coming back to that, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah, if he could put together like a top 5 list, that would be great, of what I'll call range ammo that might be more effective.
Excellent. Yeah, that could
rather than the dollar a round defensive stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. We would like to I was gonna say we definitely want to welcome Smeggy
Back
Glad
from
you
the
could join
dead.
us.
Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry I'm late. I
Fantastic.
just got
Oh,
into
good.
town. The
It
plane that
happens.
was supposed to leave at, I forget, like noon 30 or something, left at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Did you tell them you had a podcast to get to? Usually that would get them flying.
I tried. I told him that I knew DB, and that didn't seem to help. So I noticed he was today's, Gun Channel's member. And I just want to add, I have seen him in person. I do have proof of life of him. I hung out with him at the NRA show last year. And he's, cool guy in real life, just like he is in the chats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we obviously believe that. So did you try pounding on the cockpit door?
Well, the problem was the plane wasn't in the city. We had to wait for it to arrive. The one they were sending us hadn't left its, it hadn't left its starting point yet. So I did not pound on the cockpit door because the cockpit was not in the same town that I was.
So running down the causeway screaming, "It's okay, I'm a limo driver," in this particular case would have worked just as good as it did in the movie.
Probably.
Yeah.
We were talking about
exactly a tip for traveling, huh? So, what do you say we start?
So we're in the second segment then?
Well, let's see.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
we are.
We talk about
social media
podcasts.
and
So
podcasts.
I know a lot of you guys listen to podcasts when you're out and about, and I thought we would just talk about some of the podcasts that are worthy of listening to. Any that you follow or that you... do you guys listen to them like on the regular, like a TV show or something, or like a radio show where you listen to it daily, or do you download them on like a Friday and get the week's worth and then listen to them in between time, like as you're commuting or something? Or I guess that was one of the things so that people get some ideas on how others listen to podcasts. I tend to listen to them when I'm doing road trips, so I'll download a bunch of them from a good channel or a channel that I've liked before, go kind of through and pick the ones from the titles that sound interesting or have good guests or something, and then grab a bunch of them on a phone and then listen to them in the car.
Yeah, just speaking for myself, I usually go through and I'll download multiple podcasts that I listen to, get a week's worth if there is more than one in a week, and then when I'm working is when I tend to listen to them. So they may be a week old, they may be 3 days old, maybe 2 days old. Maybe I may have 5 shows of them, but that's how I tend to listen to them.
Yeah, I tend to listen to them when I'm in the office at work, and I normally am able to listen to them the next day. Sometimes some of them get backed up, and I might, I'll save them. I'll just keep them around until I finally get around to listening to it. So if I don't get to listen to it live, which I try and do most of the time, but sometimes I can't. So then I'll go back and listen to it like the next day, which, the office setting's perfect because it's kind of just in the background. I'm doing stuff, and, my coworkers think I'm crazy because I'm just randomly laughing every once in a while.
Oh, they don't think, they know. But anyway, that's a bad joke. I'd have to say my podcast game then is the weakest of everybody's because I don't know that I've ever really downloaded too many podcasts. I noticed that most of the time I'm usually watching it as a YouTube channel or a Facebook feed. I know that there's been a couple of times that I've listened to a podcast and stuff like that where it was literally just the actual podcast and not, no video component or something like that.
Well, I guess that's true. I guess I don't necessarily download them. I also will just stream them. So I normally need a network connection to be able to do that. But I like the idea of road trips and stuff, especially if I'm traveling for work and I'm driving somewhere. It'd be cool to just load up my phone with a couple, and I got the little cord to plug it into my speaker. And
right, so it's almost like better than books on tape, then, is what you're kind of saying.
Well, it's definitely
by comparison.
Similar.
It's a lot less costly.
That would be handy for Smeggy if he was in an airport somewhere and then he had like a 4-hour delay or something.
But the issue
Yeah,
with
no kidding.
streaming is it depends on, you're always going to have that signal, and obviously that you don't aren't going to have data issues as far as what kind of plan you have. Where like I download them on my Wi-Fi at home for free, so I don't have to worry about what kind of signal do I have, and no matter where I'm at, I can listen to them.
Yeah, I guess
So
that's
the way you're
why
doing it is like downloading a book on tape then.
Yeah, for road trips, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't rely on my network.
It's almost
But-
like a magazine on tape because it's a more often and then shorter.
There you go. Yeah, because like what, a book on tape can be 6-8 hours sometimes, right?
Depends if it's abridged. So if they just give you the gist of it, it'll be like 4 to 8 hours. And if it's unabridged, if it's legit, it could be way more than that. 12, 16. I've read Stephen King books can get insane when they're unabridged. But
Okay.
that's when you're doing a cross-country trip. It's kind of neat to listen to one story for days and days. So what podcasts, what's some names of these? What kind
I
of
have
things?
two that I think that our audiences would be interested in. The first one is called Primary and Secondary, and I'll just read a brief description of it. It says, Pro Guns, Gear, Tactics, and Discussion, a community created to discuss professional-grade modern weapons and their applications with supporting equipment and skills. And when I listen to the show, it's literally, it's on guns, it's on tactics, it's on training, it's on gear, it's on all the things from people who are in the industry, whether they're making this stuff, whether they're using this stuff at the Leo level, whether they're using the stuff at the military level, whether they're using the stuff as concealed carry holders and or instructors. So that's one of the shows of mine. But before I get to my next, what anybody else out there have something that they want to share with one of their podcasts?
Well,
I like the what is it? The Joe Rogan Experience? Is that what it is? The Joe Rogan Podcast, whatever that one is. I like that one. It's entertaining.
I like Joe Rogan as well. Especially, I like him specifically.
Describe it. I don't know who that is, so give me one or two lines on.
He's a comedian.
Do you remember the News Radio from back in the old days?
Yeah.
He's the mechanic or the
maintenance guy. Yeah.
Okay.
He hosted Fear Factor for a while, but then he's still doing the commentary for MMA.
Yep.
But what I
and
like,
former Taekwondo champion as well.
Oh yeah. He's fairly liberal in a lot of things, but at the same time, like he's into hunting and
He'll
he's
eat the
okay
heart
with
out of it. That's
guns
still beating elk.
Yeah. So I like that from that point of view. And he's what I like also, he gets guests that he might disagree with, and they just have a discussion about certain stuff, and he'll call them on stuff and try and fact check them live.
Yep.
And it's pretty interesting. In fact, I heard a really good quote on his show the other day, and it said the difference between debate and discussion is a debate, you find out who is right. A discussion, you find out what is right.
Yep.
Let's rip off of that meme I seen on Instagram.
That's where it came from, I think.
Well, there you go. Okay, I guess he's a ripoff artist then.
That one was a discussion, though.
I do have another one, in case you all are interested. Again, that I think our listeners would be interested. It's called Soft Rep for Special Operation Force Report. The podcast is the most listened to show in the government categories on iTunes, hosted by former Navy SEAL sniper instructor Brandon Webb and Army Ranger Green Beret Jack Murphy alongside host and producer Ian Scotto. Welcome uncensored and politically incorrect throat punch content.
It's
Join
Ian.
us as we discuss.
Sorry.
Ian, yes. Join us as we discuss anything from drones, foreign policy, modern warfare, terrorism, politics, and more.
Okay,
The
so
show
like
features guests from military, intelligence, and special operations communities. They currently run one show per week. That is an excellent show, by the way. That is, if I had to give one show above the rest, that would be it.
I do like that one. Usually I find that I go to their website and I'll watch because they do, because it's actually a YouTube video or whatever. And so I'll usually do it that way. Like that's another one that I like. I don't download it, but I definitely listen to it. And Soft Rep is excellent, just like you said.
Yeah, and
Dr. No's throwing out there Ballistic Radio, and I've heard of it, but I'm not overly familiar with it.
yeah, there are other shows that are also good. I just wanted to go give just two of the ones that I thought were the best of the ones I listened to.
Well, G, why don't you throw us a meatball, man? Tell us something that you listen to, a podcast that you like.
I like that Soft Rep one, and then I'm trying to find the name of this other one. I have to go find it, but I don't really listen to that many of them.
And the one thing I do like about that Soft Rep one is like literally, it's like whether it's 3 or 4 bros, and they're sitting there, not necessarily talking shit, like like usually they're talking about when they've gone and done a story in some type of zone. And they're usually back from it, and they're just, like telling tale and everything over a cold beer usually.
Right.
And then like each person is relating an experience that they may have had or some way that they have dealt with something similar, or in a particular case, the same thing, just from a different viewpoint. And it sometimes it just straight up blows my mind pretty much.
Yeah.
And I do really like the Soft Rep one. I mean, I like actually, out of the primary and secondary, the Joe Rogan and the Soft Rep, like I love them all. Actually, they're great.
Yeah, but the Soft Rep, I guess what I like about it is it's kind of like an after action report, but very laid back, very off the record as far as the way they talk and the language they use, that sort of thing. It's like if you were in the room, but they were sneaking some beers and using language that they weren't supposed to use.
Well, Dan, like, do you ever go to their webpage?
I've not been to their webpage. Now they do have.
Well, I mean, they do like a blog and everything like that, and they literally like Murphy. I'm pretty sure he like writes stories.
Yes.
So like he's over usually getting the story somewhere where the bad guys are, and then like I think G was just saying like it is like an after action.
Yeah, they have. It's much more than just the podcast, like you mentioned. They have the website. They also have a member only section.
Yep.
And they have 2 different levels of and they provide a lot of meat on the bone in regards to content, if that's the sort of content that you're interested in.
What are you talking about?
Soft Rep.
Oh.
So
another one I listen to that people might like is called Command Your Business, and it's this some veteran guy, I don't really pay attention, that he interviews a bunch of entrepreneurs that are all veterans, and they're pretty much all these officers. So not always successful, but usually successful. So it's pretty interesting to hear their business stories, because they take responsibility for stuff, and they are pretty squared away. So it's a different type of business podcast, I guess. And it's a military podcast, but only in the sense that they're all veterans. They don't really necessarily, I mean, every once in a while they'll talk about something done or military related, but mostly it's a business podcast.
So is it basically
Oh, go ahead, Z, sir.
I was gonna say you go, Smags. You had a point.
I was just gonna say I would hate to leave out Hit or Miss Tuesday nights 9 o'clock. I think we all agree that is the best podcast ever in the history of the world.
Well, that's a show. But is that truly a podcast?
Are you guys putting it on iTunes?
No,
You're not a podcast.
it's podcast form. I guess just rip it from YouTube.
No, that's true. And in a way, it can be. It's pretty simple to set it up. So if you guys want to say the word, and we can, do it, set it up in like an hour or something off air, or do it on air and do that as a Gun Channels University type of instructional thing. Matt figured out a way to have it done on the cheap, or basically free. I think he pays a couple of bucks, like $10 a month, to have it a little bit more convenient. Or I might be getting it confused, because I think the thing he uses has a free option, like a $10, a $30, and up, depending on how much you're using and what options you want. which is a little bit different than the option I went to. When I looked into it, there weren't really free options, so I went with the most stable of the options, which wasn't necessarily the cheapest. Anyway, if you guys want to set that up, it's a little bit cumbersome, but it isn't technically, well, I guess it isn't physically difficult. It's a little bit of a puzzle, but and there's a couple of different ways to accomplish it. But once you set it up, it is super easy, and it does potentially get you a bigger audience. We would know that if you're listening to us as a podcast, if you give us some feedback on iTunes and or in the email, dailygunshow@gmail.com. But anyways, Meg, if you guys do want to set that up, or if anybody else out there wants to set that up, let us know. Matt and I could do like an on-air walkthrough, and at the end of that walkthrough, you could be on iTunes almost. It takes iTunes.
That sounds interesting.
All right, well, we're going to keep talking about them. That we have been getting some. I'm not going to talk about any of the ones that came up from. This was that stuff. We should have done it.
Alrighty, boys and girls, it's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day. So get locked and loaded. Get your pens ready to fire. Mr. Official Z, have you seen the answer in the question?
Yup.
Okay, boys and girls, here we go. I will read the question twice. Gunsight training facility was created by who? The Gunsight training facility was created by who?
How is there not an answer yet? What is going on? I'm about to start shaming the audience here.
Well, remember that there is the lag, so I'm sure.
Boom, winner. Winner by YouTube this time.
Congratulations, YouTube. So who on the YouTube won?
Matt Shoemaker or Schumacher, depending.
Matt S. Congratulations on being today's Tactical Pop Quiz winner. Head on over to dailygunshow.com/pop quiz. Fill out the form, put your first, second, and third choice for a prize. And congratulations, Matt. It's nice to see YouTube stand up and snatch it from the jaws of gun channels.
Yes, Matt. That makes you technically the first Tactical Pop Quiz hot shot for the week. So way to start it off right. And
Did you mention what
congratulations.
the answer was?
Jeff Cooper.
People.
The answer is Jeff Cooper.
Yeah,
Jeff
That
Cooper.
was DB Cooper. That was DB Cooper.
No, Jeff Cooper actually created Gunsight, not DB Cooper.
and I'm not sure who Geoff Cooper is that Dr. No was talking about.
That's Jeff with a G, not Jeff with a J. But yeah, anyway.
Is that
That's
like
how I
Joffrey?
noticed that
It's over at
Matt technically did beat him anyway. I mean, like literally split second.
Is that like Joffrey at Toys R Us? It's not Jeffrey, it's Joffrey, the giraffe.
All right. So
Well,
take us into,
yeah.
we're in the middle of looking at some podcasts that people are suggesting there. I think we can copy the notes and throw it into the show log or into the notes for the podcast. So if you're listening to this as a podcast and you want to hear some of this or see some of the suggestions that the other listeners that were live here suggested, then seek out the info from the podcast. I don't know if iTunes links to it. I'm sure it does. But if you'll go over to our website, dailygunshow@gmail.com, we have the archive of all of our shows, and there's a pretty intensive show description of each show. We have the topics that we covered, and then links to whatever it is we might have talked about. We try to, keep that current at the end of the show each day, so that it's useful, so that there's something to go back to, and if you do hear something, that you can follow up on it, and we're not just talking about stuff. And if you don't understand the way we pronounce something or something, that can be difficult sometimes.
So
anyway.
Just taking a half step backwards, what were the podcasts that we recommended to our listeners? We had SOFREP, which is Special Operation Forces Report, SOFREP. We had Primary, Secondary, and then Z and Smeggy, you guys had, what was it? the guy's name?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. And then G, you had the
Command Your Business, it's called.
Man Your Business. Okay.
Command, like commander, like command your business.
Oh, Command Your Business. Okay.
All right, so if you guys want those some links, and you can always email us stuff at dailygunshow@gmail.com. We do get a pretty good pile of emails now coming in. We do appreciate that. It's nice to have interaction with our audience. So for stuff like this, maybe even think about opening up if you're not listening to this as a podcast, or maybe even if you are, if you're listening to it in a way where you can open up an email while you're listening to the show, and then we wouldn't mind. Dan reads all the emails. You can send us as many emails as you want, and if he has to weed through a bunch of them to get some good stuff, then so be it.
The work I do.
See, he's willing. So that'll take us into gun tech, AK modernizations. Why would anybody want to do this?
Well, because now what? So it's not even the AKM anymore. What is it? Is it what? Like what's the new one called?
I call them Century Series because they're the AK 100s and whatnot.
Okay, that's what I was trying to think of because because they just came out with like a new-ish one. Like was it last year? Because it had a different foregrip and handrail and all kinds of different stuff on it. Angry's out there trying to say it's the AK 103, and I'd totally believe him if that is what it's called.
103's been around for a long, long time. So,
or the Alpha. That's the one that Moon says.
All I ever see is this is a new Russian gun, and every time you see Russians, they've got AKs. So,
okay.
I mean, have you seen? I don't know. I don't pay that much attention. I follow a couple of things on the Instagram, but it tends to be usually bombers and giant nukes and stuff. I don't know why they take pictures of that stuff instead of their troops. But when I do see stuff, it seems like they just got plain old AKs. They don't have fancy new stuff. So I don't know if they just develop stuff and then, like every other government, the government goes, great, well, we can't afford that, so no. Or
So
really I just don't know.
Well, I'm just trying to think of what the modernizations have been, and what are we comparing the modernizations to? Like the original AK-47? Is that kind of what we're doing?
I doubt
as
it.
Far as
in this country, when people say AK modernizations, they're talking about putting an AR stock on it, changing out the pistol grip, then usually something about the handguard, and then almost always the gas tube or the upper handguard, and then sometimes fiddling with the dust cover, and then taking off the muzzle brake and putting something else on there, some American-made thing on there.
Yeah, I guess you're correct.
You could even say magazines, really. And then if you want to get crazy, you could say selectors or safeties, and then you could say triggers, because everybody can't get enough new triggers for AKs lately. And then even mag retention bullshit for California, right? That's kind of a mandatory, infringed, bullied modernization. But that's what I think when I think of modernization. It's not like what the Russians are doing. But we could
like, for example, like the Krebs thing that he does for like is it a retaining or is it a shepherd's hook or whatever? One of the things that he does. Now, that's technically, that's not how McHale, designed it or whatever. Is that technically like a legitimate, practical AK modernization part? Because it keeps it from potentially walking out. Yes, the pin.
It's more. I guess that's part of it, but the stuff that's for an AK-47 is for the full auto. So that means there's another pin in there, and they bend off of that other pin. So it's really not an issue. We're going to have to use something in a semi-auto gun that just doesn't have that third pin. We're going to have to use something else than what the AKs use. So it's just the mechanics of semi-auto that we don't ever get to use whatever the Russians use. We'd either have to modify it or just go with something new. And as far as things go, that plate is pretty good. If you don't mind the weight.
What? Like what do you like when you? No, I assume you're joking because, like, a quarter probably weighs more than that thing, right?
I guess it depends if you're talking a pre-1964 silver quarter.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I have no idea. But anyway, they're okay. They're fine. If you want to go around buying stuff for it.
Well, okay, so and that brings us kind of to the meat of the matter, really. As far as we're talking about AK modernizations, how many of them are just because you want them as opposed to they're necessary. And then, by that token, are you just spending money to spend money to modernize your AK? Which, light rail, like you said, or the gas tube that has the Picatinny on top or whatever, like.
I'm pretty sure people go out and they start shooting on a 22 target rifle, like maybe it's Scouts or 4-H or something, or Grandpa's, right? And then maybe they shoot a shotgun or two, either at the range, like trap or skeet, or maybe even hunting, or just out on the field somewhere, right? And then maybe they shoot a bolt action rifle, a larger one. And then they figure all guns have to be held that way. And then they pick up an AK and they go, and they start buying crap to make it feel like a shotgun. So I don't know. I can't. I mean, I guess people buy red cars. I would never buy a red car, but people can do what they want in this country, so I let them do it. But yeah, I don't understand it myself why people would do it. I think it's because they want the ergonomics of some bolt action rifle or a AR or something.
No, it's no secret or whatever. I don't own a classic AK. I own SLR 107, and it came with the polymer everything or whatever. It's got the folding stock, but that I will agree. I will say that folding stock is a beast. It's awesome. The hand grips or the hand guards or whatever. It's not like I've ever. Of course, it's not full auto, so I don't know that I'll ever really melt them. But so now, G, would you classify that as somewhat of a modernization, just the different use of materials, since it's not wood on any of it? It's now this lightweight, impact-resistant polymer.
Since they've been using that since like the 70s, it's hard to say modern, but I guess depends.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, the gun was invented in 47, and 30 years of it with the polymer, and then 30 years without polymer, and then 30 years or something with it. It's almost where there's been more time with it, right?
I hear what you're saying. Okay, so yeah, Bakelite, which technically not the same thing, but of the similar family tree, for sure. Well, I guess so. But I tell you what, that AK is pretty lightweight. It's and how you were saying about somebody wanting to change or not being able to hold on to it or whatever. I think that AK is one of the most intuitive holds and aiming, almost, I want to say, even more than an AR. And I know that might be blasphemous, but
well, that cheek weld though is meant for a different size person.
It's just because it's got the shorter stock and you're supposed to be shooting it through 3 layers of clothes, of winter clothes or whatever, right? So normally your face is going to be back further on that stock anyway.
Well, except that it the way it's angled, it drifts downward away from your chin. So you don't get a tradition, what we Americans consider a traditional cheek weld. You don't get on an AK, period.
I guess I would agree with that it's not, like you said, you added the term traditional, and I guess I will give you that, especially since Warsaw Pact length is not going to allow it to be traditional in any way for Western, since we're NATO. Oh, I take that back. We're the United States of America.
And I often, so I shouldn't say how often. I sometimes wonder if it was simply because of the physical size, because I know the Warsaw Pact was the vast majority of their equipment, starting from World War II forward, was designed for a shorter adult male rather than the typical American male that's going to be 5'10" to 6 feet. They're going to design their stuff to be for a male that's 5'7", 5'8".
No, well, my understanding was the Warsaw Pact length was because they're mostly cold weather countries, and that they're literally developed to be able to work them with, like I said, like big winter coats and gloves and stuff like that. That was my understanding of where Warsaw, because of the Warsaw Pact, right? That's where you get the term Warsaw length. So to me, I'm going with the cold weather. Now, of course, the Wikipedia gods will probably tell us different, and maybe it was that they were shorter then, but I have never met that too many small Russians ever, really. So I find it interesting that I guess that's a possibility, and that people were shorter than they are now in the 40s. I mean, that's a thing. But
I guess my question, and it's not something that I know, it's something I wonder about, is if that had a role in the cheek weld situation or not, or they
I see what you're saying.
Or they simply just never cheek welded or expected their infantrymen to cheek weld a rifle to get what we consider to be a more accurate shot.
Because they're going to get little old ladies and children.
Can you say that again? I don't know if you're talking in the mic the whole time.
I said I think they make the stocks short because they're giving them to little old ladies and children.
Well, we know that not to be true.
What? They definitely give them to like youngins and old people. It's everybody's gun.
Okay.
I think that was the Germans at the end of World War II that they were giving them to everybody like that.
Oh, come on.
Now, hold on just a second. I mean, I went to public school and my math is a little off, but if the war ended in 45, how could they be giving them AK-47s?
Well, exactly. The Germans would give them Mausers.
Oh, well, then it's... Okay. I'm going to try and
Notice I
reel this back into AK modernizations, gentlemen, if we can. Either throw me an idea of what you consider an AK modernization to be.
Sure. I have my SAM 7 has an attachment for a side optics rail, which I have purchased, and I now have a red dot sitting atop my AK. And that is a modernization, an electronics modification that is modern, that did not exist 30 plus years ago on my AK. Now, I don't have all sorts of other Christmas tree lights hanging off it. That's it.
Now, is the optics rail that you have, is it an offset or is it directly over?
It's directly over.
Okay. Because that might also have been a little thing that we were talking about earlier.
Like 45-degree stuff?
Well, no, just sometimes it's not a direct over. It's literally, like what, a quarter inch, except it would have been in centimeters or millimeters. Like it would just be to the left a little bit.
Yeah. No, this is directly down the center line of the rifle.
Okay. Excellent. Spags, opinion?
I don't like modern stuff on AKs. I want wood and good to go. Normal stuff.
And by modern stuff, just define what you mean by modern stuff.
Like rails and red dots and
lights. Or do you think a light still belongs on an AK?
I think you can put a light on an AK, but it better just be like a flashlight duct taped around the gas block or something.
So a Model T always has to be a Model T.
Yeah, I don't want to see a Model T with ground effects and neons and subwoofers and stuff.
Like, I didn't buy a museum piece. I bought
You're asking him, right? Dano. He didn't ask you. Come on now.
Right. It just there's a difference between an AK that is literally a museum piece that's 70 years old and something that was made 5 years ago.
Well, I will say that some people appreciate the aesthetics of the classic look as opposed to a modern one with stuff on it. And I may be wrong, but I think that's what Smegs is where Smegs is coming from, is he would prefer the classic look of the AK wooden steel, and I don't need to change the muzzle brake. I'm good to go because the AK is good to go. Am I on track, Smegs?
That sounds pretty good.
Well,
No, I'm not saying, I guess I'm not saying other people shouldn't do it. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm fine with that.
Well, let me.
If you ask me personally, that's my answer.
Yep.
Are we talking about looks, which is merely aesthetics? Then I wonder why we're even discussing it, because that's like discussing your favorite color.
No, he's saying he likes the look of it. That's why he doesn't want the modern stuff on it.
And looks are aesthetics.
Well, that's correct. Looks are aesthetics. And to me, I don't think there's anything wrong with liking something or not liking something based on aesthetics as part of it.
The question is modernization, not a beauty contest or aesthetics.
Well, now, Dano, you're berating him for the answer that he gave, dude.
It's not an answer to the question that's in the show notes.
Well, it is, because he's saying he doesn't want modernizations on his AK, is what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that's, like I said, yeah, you guys named plenty of examples, and, I'm sure it works fine and all that stuff. So I'm not super familiar with modernization because I tend to just kind of glance at it and say, so I don't know what's out there or what's available because I don't really pay attention to it that much because it's not personally what I like. I'm glad that innovation's happening. Like, knock yourself out. I like seeing new stuff. I don't prefer it.
Which is a fair and honest answer. Now, Mr. G. Webbs. Mr. AK Guru, as it were.
I know to yell at me when I say that I don't pay attention.
Oh, he's going to yell at you, so just get ready.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to the modern stuff, so I don't have much to contribute to that.
Yeah, he blocked me out the entire time. He's been off doing other things.
No, I don't understand why you yelling at somebody for the answer they give is supposed to change their answer. That's the part I don't understand.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't think he's. Well, either I don't understand the question in the show notes, or we're reading it two different ways, I guess.
Well, okay. We already addressed what we thought AK modernizations were in the first place, whether we were talking about optics, rails, gas, different gas tubes, handguards, all of those things, right? We already addressed what we thought the AK modernizations were, and then we got supremely off track for 5 minutes, and I tried to bring it back to it by making a pointed question to the panelists of do they like or utilized any modernizations in their AK. We got an answer from Smeggy, we got an answer from you, Dano, and then we were just about to get an answer from Mr. G. Webbs.
Well, he shut down.
Actually, we did. I take that back. We did get an answer from Mr. G. Webbs.
I don't put much in on mine.
And me, I kind of purchased the semi-modern AK, so I don't even know where I fit in this. Would I put a red dot on there? I don't know. Probably not. Would I put a light on there? I think that I would, and if that then required me to get the the gas tube with the rail on it, that's probably how I would want to mount it.
Well, you said semi-modernized, so what stuff do you have? Is it just you have polymer furniture or something?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's not your wooden steel, it's the polymer one from Arsenal, so that's why I consider it semi-modern.
But it's just not super tacti-cooled out.
No, it's literally just the way it came. You know what? I did get a different sling for it as opposed to the green sling that it came with. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude, I went with the Larry Vickers limited edition AK something sling. It's freaking awesome. So, and other than that, I don't think that I would ever change the stock. I don't think that I did change the pistol grip, so I guess that's slightly more modern in that it's a U.S. Palm pistol grip, and that thing is awesome. I mean, it fits my hand perfect. Magazines, I don't have any steel ones yet. I just got the waffles. Of course, I love those, but I don't necessarily know that those are modern, so to speak. I guess by comparison they are, though. If you're talking compared to steel mags, that are surplus or whatever. But I think the only thing that I really would change on that AK would be if I wanted a light on there. That's other than that. To me, it's good to go. I'm kind of along the lines of what the other two gentlemen were saying is like, I don't really think that they said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'm going to go with GTG. It's good to go. I just would like to get a light on there at some point.
There's a reason that they came up with the AK-74, and it's sometimes at some point in the future there'll be an AK-23 or some variation of that.
Right. Well, and that's what the Alpha is the newest iteration of the AK. Which, if I remember the picture, it had a really weird-looking handguard. I think it had an adjustable stock. It had an EO Tech on top. I think it had like the muffler style thing where it's a heat guard, heat shield. So yeah, I don't know.
That does bring another thing to mind. Is there was somebody who has coming to them at some point in the future a ALG trigger for an AK.
Oh, I might do that. I might do something like that, actually, and I'd get that little shepherd hook thing you're talking. And
if somebody's going to get one of them ALG triggers, then I'm guessing that they have to be of the mindset that they like modernizations.
Or they figure since there's already a stupid U.S.-made trigger in the thing, you might as well replace it with a different U.S.-made trigger.
A more modern one, so to speak.
Yeah, that from the outside doesn't look any different, so it still qualifies for my justification.
Well, I also wonder, like, potentially, so at my range, you always have to have the bolt lock back, or you have to have a flag in the chamber. I've thought about getting the Krebs safety selector a couple of times too. I haven't purchased it or anything like that, but just because of that little cutout, I mean, I can lock it back.
I thought about that as too, and because my range doesn't require it, is the only reason I didn't get it. But I've thought about it. I don't think it's terribly expensive. I think it's fairly inexpensive.
Oh, well, yeah. Same with the little shepherd hook plate thing too. I mean,
that's like
totally reasonable
to replace the shepherd hook.
Well, I remember we took AKs off of the schedule because nobody wanted to talk about them ever, and so we started having a separate podcast for them once a week on Thursdays. So anybody that wants to continue this conversation, we can do it on Thursday. We have the AK-47 Guru podcast, I guess, speaking of podcasts. But I think for the sake of time, I just looked over and I thought we were going to lose Dano by now. So should we move along?
And we can do that.
All right. So if you do have more stuff, though, I saw a couple people were saying that they wish they could jump in. We don't really, I mean, I guess it's not obvious. We don't have this open as a open panel type of show like we do sometimes just over on gun channels. Maybe it's confusing because Smeggy's in here and you see him a lot of times hosting a lobby chat, which is kind of open to anybody who's a member of gun channels and feels like jumping in. This show, though, we do is more of a, I don't want to call it a radio show, but there's the four of us usually. And yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. We
however, that being said, though, I mean, if there's someone who wants to specifically talk about one of the topics coming up, we're not opposed to having guests on the show. But normally it tends to be people that we're at least familiar with. But
Not always. We have Tack Daddy on, and we have Bob on.
I just meant that, you knew him and you know that he knows how to work the microphone and the camera and that kind of stuff. At least show a little tech savvy.
Yeah, and anytime you want to practice that, head over to Gun Channels, jump in the lobby.
Yep.
And then you become familiar.
Yep.
And then that's the way to go if you really want to start getting into it, is hang out in the lobby. Let people know who you are.
And all you have to do is sign up and you're in.
So there's a certain amount of things that we like to hit every day. One of them is the gun movie of the day, and today it's John Wick. Do we want to do Wick or do Wick 2? Did everybody seen Wick 2 already?
I have not seen 2 yet. So if you guys want to talk about that, I will take my headset off and you can tell me when I can start listening again.
Well, then let's just talk about one.
I have seen the first one.
Let's just talk about one.
Here's what's annoying. Here's what's annoying about John Wick and John Wick 2. So everybody's seen John Wick and everybody thought it was great. So then John Wick 2's coming. Nobody shuts up. John Wick 2's coming. John Wick 2's coming. John Wick 2. All the time. Months and months ahead of time. Every time they come out with a little preview, John Wick 2, John Wick 2. Everybody's already buying his guns and stuff from the movie. And then whatever, a couple weeks ago now, the movie came out. I think Matt went and seen it, and Z went and seen it. Maybe a couple other people went and seen it, and nobody has talked about it. And then there's 4 or 5 people that refused to go see it. So now nobody talks about it. So it's like, how much lead up are we going to have to something that we then do not talk about at all?
Hey, you guys can talk about it if you want. I'm just letting you know I have not been to the movie theater. I do not like to go to the movie theater by myself, and I have been out of town for work a lot recently, and that's just my personal reasons. So if you want to talk about it, that's fine. I'm just not going to listen.
Town with comrades from work, people that you're friends from work, and then you're looking for things to do in the evenings?
We have gone to movies in the past. It's tough when we get out of work at midnight.
I don't like your comrade connotation there, mister.
Cohorts?
There you go. I can live with that.
Buds?
So
I can live with that too.
We're
I
talking
certainly like the first John Wick. That was cool. Lots of gun stuff. I'm assuming John Wick 2 was good. Go ahead, talk about it.
There's nothing to talk about. It's like literally the next day. Like he takes a nap after John Wick, and then it wakes up and it's John Wick 2. So John Wick.
You sorta.
So he's got zero time.
Sorta actually. He's pretty close to right on that.
So he really doesn't have any time to physically recover, so it removes the plausibility for and 30 days later.
Hold on. I didn't spoil the movie. I just said when it starts and when it takes place. So that movie might take the span of 30 years for all we know, because I didn't spoil it. It's not necessarily the next day and then ends the next day. It might take another week. It might take another year. I really don't even remember, because I guess
I'm with you though, G. At some point, I'm definitely ready to just fucking run off at the mouth about the movie. So
yeah, it was interesting. So the first one though is an interesting movie, I guess, and it definitely set the stage for a different type.
Don't steal the man's car and don't shoot the man's dog, and he won't have to kill all of you.
It's not like Wick was the first of those movies. What was the first of those movies? Because there was like a whole slew of them there for a minute.
Well, even like the Mechanic remake, or anytime there's the double cross and he has to come back and Payback, another one, Mel Gibson. Anytime that they get crossed by some type of mob crime figure, and then the one lone gunman guy has to come back into town and fucking put shit right.
So what was it about Wick? It wasn't the first one then, because now that you think about it, there's movies like this going back to the 60s and probably earlier even.
Oh yeah.
So what is it about Wick that was so good?
Number one, motherfucking Keanu goddamn Reeves.
You think seriously that his just jumping around and whatnot and being his attitude or whatever was enough to make
I think the level of training and time that he put into for this role, in particular this role, that he did it pretty much. That was all him. That wasn't like computer imaging. That wasn't, that wasn't too many stunt doubles or anything like that. That was the Keanu. And, I liked it because he's a smooth criminal. I liked it because it was a different type of world setting, and that um, you get to see a different subset of humanity. Let's put it like that. It's that whole world is foreign to me. I'm not in the world of gangsters and mob and gangs and then assassins and like that's not my world, you know. So to see some of it was pretty. It was a cool story as well. And he really did. Like when he did the Matrix, he put a lot of effort into learning the martial arts to do it right. You know what I'm saying? Like he immersed himself in it. He did the same thing for this John Wick character and learning, you know, reloads and firearm manipulation and.
That's what I was gonna say. Is the video came out before John Wick 2 came out. He was training with
Terran
Tactical. Yeah. Was it Taron Butler?
Yep.
And I mean, he was just, it was like kind of like a USPSA setup kind of thing. And he was just tearing it up. It's like he could probably do some competitive shooting and be pretty decent on the, you know.
Well, and that was because the director had somewhat required of him. He's like, well, you know, we can do it, you know, where you think you're doing it, but he wanted him to get live fire so he could get the smell and the sound as well, like to get used to it or to know it. So you know, it was definitely, to me, it was a little more genuine, right? You know, it was a little more realistic. I know Dana was just kind of alluding to like it didn't seem real or whatever, but I definitely think that it was very realistic, like hugely so.
So what about what's his face in Collateral? He spent all kinds of time learning gunplay.
Oh yes, he did. Yeah, Tom Cruise. He did a good job in that movie. That one scene, dude, where it's the alleyway, and literally it's like, no, you don't want that. You want to give that back to me or whatever. That was probably one of the best scenes in that movie. So and it was like what? It was like what, 7 moves or something like that, and it was just like 3 dudes all lit up and done.
You think it's because he was a bad guy? And Wicky's a good guy? Kind of?
Are we talking about John Wick or are we talking about Collateral?
Well, I'm saying why Collateral isn't anywhere near as big a thing as Wick was, or is.
Oh, Collateral was still pretty decent, actually.
It was an interesting movie, but it wasn't like anybody was waiting for Collateral 2.
Oh, like the director and Tom didn't end up seeing eye to eye or something like that, and you know that was, I think, around the time that Tom jumped up on the couch for his at that time wife, and
that's what I'm saying. Do you think
Tom was coming across as a little crazy at that time?
So you think it has something to do with Canu being a better, like a cooler person, actor than these other actors?
Maybe not. Maybe a non-Scientologist, perhaps. I don't know. Okay, here you go. Who wore the the $5,000 suit better, G? Do you think Keanu looked more smooth, or do you think Tom Cruise did? It's probably because Tom Cruise had like grayish hair in that movie, and that's probably why, to be honest with you. And there you go. Oh, nice. Angry American got it. Collateral wasn't about avenging a dog and a stolen car, or avenging a dog and a stolen dog, though. Yeah, definitely.
No, exactly. He's a bad guy just being an assassin or something, right?
Yep. And there's a reason he's the boogeyman. He's good at his stuff. And I just liked, I didn't like what happened, of course, to the dog, but I liked that somebody was literally gonna raise hell. And I really appreciated his level of commitment. Like, I'm gonna kill all you motherfuckers, pretty much, is what he said, and that's kind of what he did in the first one in John Wick.
Is it spoiled?
Well, anybody that hasn't seen John Wick 1 yet, we still have left several twists and turns out of it. But you know, when you figure out that he's living in New Jersey, that's why the cement in the basement, right? Right?
I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
Well, because he in New Jersey, he wouldn't have been allowed to have most of that stuff.
Oh, I thought you meant because he was like in the mob and they buried people in their basements or something.
No, that was, and because if you remember, it was also the gold coins and stuff in there too. So like that was his whole little kit, so to speak, and it was, you know, laden in cement just so that the casual investigation wouldn't really find nothing on him.
Yeah. So is that practical? I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, it was neat. One of those
Oh,
things.
very practical, I thought.
Practical. What?
Yes. Well, here's the other thing, though. You have to understand is, for John Wick, he was retired before the start of the movie. It was one of those Godfather Part 3 with the "and they pull me back in" moments. So he went from being retired and out of the business to "you killed my dog and I cannot let that stand. And you stole my car." So I don't know. So that would be the other reason that all the stuff was cemented in his basement floor, as he was not utilizing it on any type of regularity. It was just there if the world fell apart or what have you. So I guess so. I got some people responding from New Jersey, and actually that the P30 is A-OK there. So obviously it was just because he was retired and he didn't want to have that maybe availability to just reach and grab and shoot somebody, perhaps. Great stunts, great action. In my opinion, a really good story. You know what I mean? For once, a script was actually, you know, all the way, beginning, middle, and end. And he, if you remember, like, he wasn't invincible. He wasn't a superhero. He took lickings the whole way through the movie.
For sure. He's just a regular person. He just has intent.
He wasn't Neo in this movie by any stretch of the imagination.
It wasn't. That's the point, is to remind people of a movie I haven't seen in a while. I guess that one was almost pointless because with the new one coming out, everybody was already reminded of it, and I'm pretty sure most people have already seen it. I'm assuming, again, we have given it all thumbs up for the first Wick.
Oh, absolutely. Wick definitely gets 2 thumbs up for me. Smag's opinion?
Oh, I would agree. Yep, definitely 2 very good thumbs up.
Yep.
Looks like we wanted to mention the trading post today. Tactical Pomeranian posted some shotgun stuff and AR parts and a book over there.
Nice.
And whenever people post stuff over on the trading post over on Gun Shops, we like to help them get the word out about it. Anybody can use it, so feel free, and we'll let people know about whatever you put in there. We're also letting people know that we've got an email coming in, and somebody was confused because we had been running the podcast of the show over on I Hate Guns podcast over on iTunes. And whenever we made the jump from the Gun Website's YouTube channel over to the Daily Gun Show YouTube channel, we made the jump to its own personalized iTunes as well. So now if you want to look for us on iTunes, just type in Daily Gun Show, and hopefully that's a little easier to find. But we know that it is going to probably be confusing for people that were accustomed to listen to us for almost a year on the I Hate Guns podcast. There is still an I Hate Guns podcast. We do just the normal Gun Website stuff on there, and we'll continue to do those. We don't have them on a schedule or anything like we do with these shows, but wanted to address that. And thanks for sending in the email, like Dano said earlier, I think off air, that when we get an email, we know that's indicates there's plenty of people with that same question. So maybe let people know if it comes up conversation. I'm sure you would anyway, but maybe send an email to somebody you might haven't seen in the chats or something, let them know, because they might not even know about our time change, really. I wonder if there's that many people that just listen to us as podcasts, though. Like only know of us through the podcast. There must be something.
Well, how many do you say that you think how many do we do on podcast episode to episode or whatever?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hundreds, but I'd forget what the calculation is. Sometimes when you have like a magazine, they think like, each subscription gets looked at by X number of people. So a podcast is, I think there's some ratio of like, you figure a person and a half or something per download in case they're sharing it or something. So I don't know, but basically hundreds, I guess. But
so out of hundreds of people, I'm probably going to say that there's at least literally 10 or less that probably, at least 10 or so probably that do it just that way. Because that's like that's a 0.5% or something, right? Or 5%, something like that.
I mean, that's the thing. Who knows? I mean, there's no way to really know. I don't even know if there's things if there's things that can watch for that or even know. So it's one of those things that I guess we can ask and people can tell us if they want to, and then we would kind of have some indication. But anyway, we want to say thanks to the people that do send in emails. Like I say, we assume that you're asking questions that other people have.
And I do want to thank Chris out on the Gun Channel's audience as well. Yes, I definitely agree with you. It's always a good time to donate on Patreon. We definitely want to always thank our Patreon supporters. They help us keep the lights on and the show going. We try and do a special scheduling show with them included and everything like that once a month. There's various perks, of course, that are available. And we always want them to know that we definitely appreciate the support.
Yeah, and that's probably a good time to mention, since it is the end of the month, where we're going to be switching over to monthly over there. We had tried it for this just the month of February, really. We tried it per episode, but because we do an episode every weekday, we were only doing the charged episode on Fridays, and that's just already too much complicated. So we're just going to flip it to monthly. Anybody that wants to help participate, like Z said, keep the show going, but also growing. Our goal, Bob's going to be back down here next week. Sounds like he's already in America again, in the United States, part of the Americas.
What? He snuck in?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have his trailer, so he's able to outrun those slow Canadians, I guess. And he snuck back into the United States. Maybe we need a northern border wall for all you people that want walls so much. We could have a northern border wall. And that'll keep Bob up for a little bit. He'd just build a ramp. Bob. He'd build a ramp. He'd jump that Dodge right over that ramp.
He would jump it. You are correct.
But anyhow, we'll have Bob back, and we're going to hopefully be on the road a little bit. Bob's truck and his camper and the cop car, and get back out and check out gun shops. And anyway, not that our viewers need to support that, but that's where the funds that are supporting us through PayPal or through Patreon, they're going to help the show grow. And we were thinking about doing microphones all around, things like that. And again, thanks for the people that are participating in that. And we'll probably mention again, in case people don't listen to us every single day, that we're going to start the monthly. And the way that works is it's like after the month is over. So if you liked what we offered during the month, then you're allowed to go through. So there's absolutely no obligation. And if we suck, just turn it off. And the idea there is that then we're supported. We're able to do the things we want to do, like keep it on iTunes and whatnot. And we don't have to be beholden to anybody. Like earlier, we could talk shit about car if we wanted to.
Yeah, with no fear of repercussions of losing a sponsor.
Maybe
other than maybe hurting Dano's feelings.
Yeah, I'm sure hurting Dano's feelings.
Well,
even more.
Clearly it affected him so much that he was bitter for the rest of the show I was here. And slightly,
I think that might also be the news that Bob's coming back.
That's enough to raise anybody's blood pressure, let's be honest.
There's a definite rift in the lady viewership over the tension between Bob coming back and then Smeggy. So we're going to have some kind of...
I think the level of ladies that Smeggy brings are more preferable than the caliber of ladies that Bob brings. Okay, I could be wrong.
I'm just saying our lady viewers are all in an uproar because now we're going to have Smeggy and Bob on the show. So
I don't see why. I mean, it's, the best of both worlds. So, I mean, they should be happy they have,
that's what I'm
If
saying.
anything, instead of doubling our lady viewership, we're gonna triple it.
They got me and Z talking like, I don't know, like we been smoking our whole lives and we've got most of our teeth removed, and then you got Dano over there, and then they got Smeggy and Bob. Yeah, they're gonna be swooning over.
Yep.
Which one to swoon over first? I feel sorry for our lady viewers.
Oh, I don't. They're gonna eat it up like candy.
Tried to-
Like Valentine's Day candy on the 15th of February. Ah.
Hold on, this is important. Cave Dave is saying he's trying to throw money at me, but didn't get a response. So obviously you didn't get a response because I don't know where the hell you're throwing that money. So pick it back up and try again because that sounds like a good idea.
Right?
All right, so
let him get his baseball mitt, his catcher's mitt.
yeah, I'll put out a big tarp on the ground, big tarpaulin. Just throw it anywhere. Gather it up. With enough money, we could have a show monkey, and then that monkey could run around picking up the change and whatnot.
Now, hold on a second there. Could we really have our own daily gun show monkey? Could we really do that? Like, is that really possible?
Technically, yes, but we don't have it in the budget anytime soon. But it would be interesting to eventually have a monkey.
Oh man, yeah.
What
Well,
if we had
that's a goal right there. That's a stretch goal right there, dude. We need to put that on there.
You get
That's a
little
stretch
monkey,
goal, G.
Give it a little monkey, get up a wheelbarrow, and put Smeggy in the wheelbarrow.
Now, is there, like, for example, your dog wouldn't eat the monkey, right?
My dog hates monkeys. He would eat a monkey, yes.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, we gotta be careful when we think about stuff like this.
I don't have a problem making the monkey ride my dog with the monkey knowing the dog wants to eat him, because that keeps the tension up and makes the show more interesting.
Well, as long as the dog never eats the monkey, either A, in general, or B, live on camera. As long as that doesn't happen, I'm down with supporting it.
Look, it might not happen on camera. I can guarantee that.
Just telling you, that monkey will stab you. But whatever.
Oh boy,
Yep. Now
we're dangerously close to monkey versus bear 22 versus
monkey with a knife. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, monkey with a knife. They know how to use tools.
That's what happens when there's even the rumor.
A mention of Bob.
Exactly. So then we'll go into the gun of the day while we still have our precious few guns of the day before Bob gets back and starts giving us his interesting examples. Actually, Bob was doing pretty good at guns of the day. That's why everybody's butthurt that he left. As soon as the sheriff's commercial is over, we'll screen capture, and we're going to be talking about an 1860 C Sharps 4-shot pepper box. Anybody ever seen one of these before?
Seen one. Yes, seen one, but never like held one or seen it like that on a table. It was always behind glass or whatever.
I put this video up in August of 2009. This had to be one of our first videos ever, and I thought this was the coolest little Derringer, because the barrel comes off like that. I don't know if you actually have to take it off to load it, but I did. And then I showed you the little goofy rimfire bullets that are hard to find nowadays, and those are some old ones because of the goop on them. And then I showed the firing pin because it's neat. It rotates around this little thing in the back on the hammer. And anyhow, just a...
Is that a predecessor to the COP, you think?
Well, I guess technically. But, I mean, the COP was in the 1970s, and this was 1860, so 110 years earlier, I guess.
Right?
It came before.
How cool is that, though, dude?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it's 4 barrels, and it's a Derringer, but...
Well, I mean, the rotating firing pin, like you just said, and all that. I mean, it did have 100 years almost of difference in time.
I don't know what's going on inside a COP, though. A COP is all hammerless, so it's a little different.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But I'm just saying, I don't know if this is necessarily the first pepper box or nothing. This is the first video I did of a pepper box. But
did you get a chance to shoot that thing?
No, this isn't a gun you would shoot. This is an old one. It's from 1860 or something, so it's from the 1800s at least. And that ammo is not inexpensive, but probably doesn't work, right? It's from old days too. And
well, that's when you hang out with Larry Potterfield, and he makes the ammo. That's what Larry does.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. And then if they make new ammo, they must make it softer so that it doesn't hurt those guns. But
Oh, you would think, yeah,
I would
you
have
would
no
definitely
interest.
think.
There are newer ones. I would just shoot a newer one. I wouldn't want to shoot.
Okay.
I don't understand.
I can understand that thinking too. Actually, honestly, I totally get that.
An old Army uniform or something, like you find one and your grandpa's at it. Are you gonna go put it on just because it's an Army uniform? Like some things you can appreciate and have just because.
I'm almost a foot taller than my grandpappy, so I would
I'm
have had to have been a kid.
just using an example. Just because something's old doesn't mean you gotta use it. If you got an old sword, you can go.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
All right, so that was our kind of our gun of the day. It was an 1860 Sharps 4-shot pepper box, and
What's the C for in the C Sharps? Is that the dude's name? You think?
I think it's his name, like Charles Sharps or Chucky Sharps. Chucky Sugar Sharps.
Chauncey Sharps.
We could be gender shaming. It could be like Carolyn Sharps,
Ooh.
Carly Sharps.
Yeah. So now, to the best of your knowledge, that was pretty much like say a vest pocket type or something like that.
I would think so. It's so small, right? And then I don't know about leaving it loaded in your pocket back in the day. It's rim fire, and it's just the hammer sitting there hitting on the rim. So
how hard was it to pull that hammer back, though? It looked like it took a little bit of effort to pull that hammer back.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that when it's in your pocket sitting on the rim that you're jumping around the back of a horse. It's not like they had smooth riding vehicles. I mean, maybe they kept one. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know. I know nothing about it. I just.
Oh, nice. And of course, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Sean Ponnery out there. Did you see what he typed for us? It's Christian Sharps, by the way, just in case you didn't know.
Oh,
out there, educating the masses. Thank you.
That's what the show's all about, though. We just talk about stuff so that the conversation gets going. We're not here to be authoritarian authorities on anything, and we don't have any time to research. Do you think that if we started making significant amount of scratch that we would go out and do research for every single show? Is that even something that you would do if there was like
if we became this behemoth juggernaut that could not be stopped? We would have interns doing all of the research.
I don't even know if I'd want to do that, even if that was like an opportunity, because I don't think that would be all that fun. Then it would be kind of like going to school.
No, we're the on-air personalities, dude. We're the ones that get to talk about it.
Well, I mean, even the show would be like going to a lecture every day or something. I think
No, we would be like we are. We're a daily gun show, but I don't remember if what was it, Shooting USA and all those other ones that are on the Outdoor Network or whatever. Like I find that we are closest to almost Shooting USA, where we're going to talk about, they have several segments that they talk about and stuff like that. But we would just potentially have more video stuff, I think, if we were really a rock and roll juggernaut. More live on site type of stuff as well.
Now, do you think we could get a research monkey? And then the research monkey could just tell us facts, so we would be more accurate in our conversation?
Well, we'd have to put like A, B, or C, like multiple choice, like in a poster style on the wall, and whatever one that the monkey crapped in his hand and threw it at, that would have to be technically the right answer, yes? Because he's a monkey, and that's what they do.
A lot of our answers would revolve around bananas.
Could be.
Well, at least the tactical pop quiz would be more accurate.
Oh!
And I'm sorry to make fun of Dano when he's not here. I would have said that to his face. I just thought of it.
That's all right. I'm sure he'll bring it up at another point.
I don't like talking behind people's backs.
Speaking of talking behind their backs, why don't we go to the healthy tip of the day? I guess, is that all we have left?
Yeah. I think we got that. What, healthy tip, gun history, and gun channels today, I think.
Oh snap! I forgot to put this one on the Instagram today. We do have a gun history. It's more important than the one. So today in 1997 is when England introduced their. Where's the rest of this thing?
The Firearms Amendment, the Firearms Act.
But I mean it was their handgun one. They already had some level of infringement, I guess, and then it was their today was the day that in 1997 that they took away their handguns, right?
Yep.
Called it the Firearms Amendment Act of 97. But what's cool is we've got a new Rick out in the chats, and he's if it's okay to I'm assuming he doesn't care if we talk about it. He was born over in England with on a military family type of thing, so he's dual residence, and he's had some experience living in England. And we were chatting in a chat the other night, and very interesting talking to somebody who's aware of guns now and a U.S. citizen, but also a England citizen, or whatever that's called, subject. And then was there. I think he said he was there during all this. So anyhow, he said that one of the things there, he brought up some insight about Brexit. I don't know if we need to bring it all up right now, but anyway, definitely we should have a conversation about England. And,
I want to know what they effectively banned the possession of all handguns other than those chambered, and then that's where the statement stops. What were the ones that chambered that were allowed to not be banned?
Sorry, I was getting a text.
No idea.
What was the question? I was getting a text.
Oh, sorry. The little blurb we got in there says, the Firearms Act 1997 was introduced by the conservative government of John Major following the Dunblane massacre. It effectively banned the possession of all handguns other than those chambered, and then I don't see the rest.
Oh, just double click on it, and then the whole box will open as like a little pop-up, and it says chambered for 22 rimfire cartridges by civilians in most of the United Kingdom by making them subject to Section 5 prohibitive weapons of the Firearms Acts. So they basically amended it so that all handguns other than 22s were subject to whatever.
Okay. I figured that would be the caliber. Thank you. So obviously we will get the British Rick on at some point, and we'll definitely have more of a discussion on that. Let's see. So then that does bring us to the healthy tip, yes?
Have them on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I think we should do that. All right, the healthy tip. So every day we like to talk about the most important part of the gun is the part that pulls the trigger. That means the people. And then that in mind, we talk about healthy stuff. Connection with friends and family, physical activity that can be done in solitude or socially. What? Connection with friends, I don't know what that, it's obviously taken from something, but I think what it's saying is that by going out and doing things socially that are physical is better than doing it by yourself, because then you're getting the social aspect of it as well. Is that how you're reading it?
It says or. So the connection, the healthy tip, yeah, see, it says connection with friends and family, physical activity that can be done in solitude or socially. So they're talking about the physical activity that you can either do by yourself or with people. And then I think there's
a comma there, like when you're doing your physical activity in solitude, think about how you could do it socially, perhaps.
Quite possibly.
Let's more because that at least makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's always more fun the more people you got doing an activity like that. Like you can't play football by yourself. You can't really throw the frisbee by yourself. I guess you can. But
what? Hold on. Let's talk for a minute about physics. You don't ever wing a frisbee up in the air at an angle and get it to come right back to you?
Well, you can, but is it more fun to throw it back and forth with somebody, dude, or is it just you out there all day? Come on.
I don't know. I really like winging a frisbee up, and then my dogs run all around, and then I catch it again, and then it pisses them off. But mainly, it's just the having a big field, and it's just it doesn't just automatically come back to you like a boomerang. It's figuring it out, and then you've accomplished it, and then you.
Well, let's just say if you go get adventurous sometimes, try throwing the frisbee to other people.
That seems weird to me, but I'll consider it. But the thing that I would hesitate is when I go walking at some of these parks in the morning. I don't like it. There's a bunch of old people and weird people out there walking. I'd much rather just walk in the desert by myself. So I can see this for some things like what you're saying, like football or whatever, obviously, yeah. But some things I'm not going to agree with this one, because I'd rather just go out walking. At least I have the option of going out walking You know.
Well, and there's a potential with this one, G, is that what they're also perhaps leaning to is that you might be more likely to go out and do that physical activity if you have friends and family connection that like to do physical activities together. So if you motivate them to go or they motivate you to go out, there's more of a chance of it happening more often than if it's just you relying on your willpower to go do something.
Well, and that's the thing. Like some of the guys that I work with, they've actually stopped before I even started working there. But they were telling me that they used to like once a week go play racquetball, and that's a good physical sport. And they kind of would do it where however it was, let's say a group of 10 guys or whatever, they'd go get a couple of courts, and then like they'd always be like teaming up with different people, and they kind of like kept track and almost did a round robin kind of thing, and then figured out who was like the winner or whatever.
So you mean
but
they
that
can't
way it's a set thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday night, time to go play racquetball. And stuff comes up, maybe someone misses a week here or there, but you're definitely more incentive to go do it if it's an actual like activity with people that's like scheduled each week, and it's not just sitting there like working out next to your friend. Because I'm almost like with you on that. Like if I'm lifting weights, I don't want to sit there and talk to people. Like I just want to kind of get in the zone and do my own thing.
Yep. Well, and like golf was another one that a lot of my friends they would definitely prefer to be able to go golf with friends as opposed to either by themselves or strangers. So
yeah, because that count as physical activity. I mean, you're pretty much just driving a cart around.
Well, it depends. There's also golf courses that don't allow carts, that you have to carry your bag. So
that's low class ones. Nobody goes to those.
No, actually, anyway, those are low impact usually.
So I was halfway thinking about starting I don't know what to call it, a channel, I guess, over on Gun Channels, but a thing because I know Dano's going and letting, he's walking to power up Skynet. He's on one of them treadmills. You guys don't know it, but them treadmills are just generators. Just, you're watching Matrix and laughing as you're sitting on a treadmill powering Skynet, literally. So he goes to the things and he walks on Skynet's dynos for him. I was thinking about doing one where doing a chat or something if it's possible to find a time when enough people could do it, where everybody in the chat is out walking. Is that a thing that could happen, you think? Have a normal chat, talking about guns or whatever. It's just that everybody's out doing some kind of walking. And you call it like the walking chat or something.
Now, why would I want to interrupt my commune with nature talking to y'all?
No, I was thinking of it more as like what we were talking about is something where, okay, it's every Tuesday. Now I'm going to go walk because I'm in the walking chat club or whatever. And, in a remote way of doing what Smeggy was saying.
The Walking Dead chat club or the Walking Trying to Not Be Dead chat club?
Like how at Smeggy's work where everybody had fun meeting together on Tuesdays to play racquetball until Smeggy started working there.
He said everybody was having fun. I doubt that. That was just so they could figure out who was in their clique.
Well, it's possible. I mean,
soon after you start working there and go, we all used to go enjoy racquetball on Tuesdays until you started working here.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is related, but Hit or Miss Tuesday nights 9 o'clock.
Nice.
Just saying, they might be at home at their computers instead of playing racquetball now.
Because in a lot of ways, they can impress their wives or their girlfriends and shit. Be like, I work with this guy. I know this guy. I used to play racquetball with him.
Exactly.
That guy? Yeah, I know that guy.
But it's a hassle because then all the wives and girlfriends start calling me, and I got to be like, no, that's not professional.
I mean, you only got an hour for lunch. Come on.
Yeah, I only fit 3 or 4 of them in that time.
All right, well,
it became a scheduling nightmare.
With a 50-minute drive.
Yeah, thanks.
No worries. Just trying to help. Hey, speaking of gun channels today, I know we got Matt coming on shortly, if not like real soon. Possibly
probably already started, actually.
Yeah. So we got Matt, we Like Shooting, we got potentially Lock and Load with the old Hawaii Volcano Squad, and then tomorrow we got Nice and Early with the Early Watch, and that is just about it for today.
And that
Matt's
was
gonna be
Gun
talking about-
Channels today.
Yes, thank you.
Matt's going to be talking about top 5 supervillains.
Really?
More lists. He needs to take a break on that stuff, man.
Oh man.
Can we do it once a month?
5 haters. Why don't you top 5 denial? How many times do you need to deny the top 5? Top 5 times Smiggy's denied the top 5.
I'm just saying that I don't like doing it every single show.
Well, but he does it as sort of like the dessert of every show. It's like
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Anyway, that's what's happening on Matt's show. I don't think Smeggy will be there.
I actually probably won't because I gotta do stuff around the house since I haven't been here all weekend.
Check your mail.
Yep, I gotta check my mail. It was pretty awesome.
All right. Well, so that's. I think we talked about the tactical or the trading post, the tactical trading post. We talked about the gun history. I don't see a quote in there, but somebody prepared.
I got one.
Bobbing it out. And then that'll be episode 256. That means tomorrow's episode 257. And it'll be Tuesday, and we will see you back at 7 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. Pacific.
All right. So we'd like to end the show on a quote of the day. Today, this one is from somebody that most people either aren't going to know or don't particularly care for. And this one's from Soledad O'Brien. I've learned that fear limits you and your vision. It serves as blinders to what may be just a few steps down the road for you. The journey is valuable, but believing in your talents, your abilities, and your self-worth can empower you to walk down an even brighter path, transforming fear into freedom. How great is that? Definitely like to thank everybody for joining and participating today. And definitely be cool. And aloha.
The gun website .com encourage you to take the guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do? Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get that, because it'll be dark soon.